Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a Beyond the Summit presentation of the WPC Ace Series, now between Orange and Newbee at best of 2, and Orange, they've had their work cut out for them these past few games. They had a triple header yesterday, they have a triple header today, and it's not looking good so far. CIS took a 2-0 series over them, and they are kind of hurting. They're looking for their next opportunity, maybe finding a new opening against Newbee. A different team with different styles, but nevertheless a significant challenge for Orange Esports. We'll see how it plays out. I think right now Newbee are favored, but Orange could definitely pull an upset for sure. They've kind of warmed up a little bit. Maybe they've worked out a few kinks and they're ready to rumble. So let's get into the early draft. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to Beyond the Summit. I myself am Blaze. Happy to be able to bring you guys since Gods isn't feeling all that well and the rest of the guys are getting some good night rest, prepping for some good games in the future. Anyways, looking at the draft, it's already gotten pretty interesting, so let's get on into it. We are going to see initial bans of Ysera's Invoker and Winter's Batrider, taken off the board by Newbee, and also, of course, the Lycan and the Centaur, very common bans when you know exactly what you want for your first pick. So we're going to see the first pick, Ember Spirit, answered by the Ancient Apparition Mirana. And the Ancient Apparition isn't that incredible against Ember because of the Flame Guard, being one of the few spells that can actually absorb some damage and prevent you from shattering, but the arrow is really powerful. So Mirana is a great pick. Getting the arrow out at the right time when he goes for the Sleight of Fist could completely shut him down. And as for long duration disable, that's what you need to control an Ember Spirit. Still, Ysera is one of those players that can really run rampant with a hero like this as well. We have seen Sox's pick it up a couple times, and that was to great effect in the past. But he's got the Dazzle at his back, whether roaming to support him or actually supporting him on the lane, we'll have to see. But the bottom line is that if they can keep themselves up with that Shallow Grave, then they're going to feel a lot more confident about these early skirmishes. At least I keep saying that, but every single time the opponent seems to get a very early Aghanim Scepter. Orange Esports repeatedly refused to ban out the Ancient Apparition, and so far have yet to put enough pressure on him to prevent him from getting too farmed. So at least by the 30-minute mark, we do see that Ags, and it makes it so that the Shallow Grave is a way to delay the inevitable and not really turn things around. In the meantime, though, we're going to see a couple more bans come across. Sand King as well as Storm Spirit have been taken off the board, and now Enchantress and Tramp Protector. A few of the Nature's Attendants there removed. But this opens up Newbee to pick up the Wraith King. A very solid pickup to kind of follow through with a lot of these abilities. I mean, you go for a Wraithfire Blast, you're almost guaranteeing a Cold Feet just because there's a slow after the stun effect. And of course, there's plenty of setup for an arrow. In fact, we've even seen times where there's kind of a kamikaze Wraith King who jumps in and intentionally gets killed just so that the reincarnation can take effect, and that can set up some really powerful Ice Blast in a way that only spells like Dream Coil really can.
10 seconds remaining.
But they are going to be under some huge pressure here. Early game aggression from these two supports. Dazzle and Visage are going to make their mark on the map, and we have seen some great plays from both Sharky and Insidious C on these heroes. So looking for some hard early nuke. They're going to try to get some kills quickly and make it so that it's not really Newbee's choice to persist through team fights, because the longer the team fight goes on, the more effective Ice Blast and Vampiric Aura can be, and it is very pesky to deal with that. So Visage with those high damage nukes has a lot of potential to end things very quickly. Problem is the trade-off, of course. He does get locked down pretty hard. He and his familiars are pretty much flypaper. They can be torn asunder quite readily. So Viper comes out, adding in a little bit more longevity to the lineup, making it so that if he picks up maybe an early mechanism, they're going to be able to fight on multiple terms, and it's going to be hard for Visage to just focus one thing. So we have pretty high expectations from both sides. Viper, though, a great hero to control the mid when you're not sure what you're up against. Like I said, Orange might be opting for Ember Spirit to be played by Ysera on the mid lane, but if they do bring him to the safe lane, there's only a handful of options that feel like they completely stomp a Viper. Like, there's plenty of options that can draw almost even, and some that are a little bit behind, but it looks like, in fact, they're going to be going for this Ember Spirit mid. Slark is pretty much the signature hero in my mind for Sox, so him playing that as in the carry role is going to be setting themselves up for quite a bit of success. Now, it is important to note that the Slark Shadow Dance passive will not regenerate during the Ice Blast effect, so it is essentially counter in that regard. As well, Sacred Arrow can count as a ground target disable. So Slark will have his work cut out for him, surviving, persisting, and continuing to dish out that damage. But if he does find his target, if he is set up by his supports, then there could be some great things in store for him.
Radiant
on the other hand, there could be some great things in store for us as spectators, as we get to see a tried and true matchup, Bloodseeker versus Slark, making it so not only will he not restore HP when the Ice Blast is on top of him, but also when he's under the threshold where Thirst takes effect, and you're able to see him and therefore not allow the Shadow Dance to take place whatsoever. So Bloodseeker is a hero that's being picked more and more in almost every scene, obviously compared to the almost 0% pick rate that he had previously, but it's just a hero that brings a lot to the table now. That Blood Rage especially is an amazing spell. When you get down to it, a 9-second silence that can't be dispelled, Dazzle, like, I mean, you're dooming a Dazzle essentially. He's not going to benefit that much from right click, and on top of that, he's going to take some damage, and it does also provide a nice little purge effect when you're trying to take those debuffs off. Not really applicable here so much, but in some situations it can be pretty high utility. Anyways, as a whole, Bloodseeker is going to be looking for kills. That's pretty much his objective, is just gank-oriented hero, but Winter picking up the Nature's Prophet will make it so that he has to run around a little bit more. Be a little bit more of a nuisance here, add a little bit of rat to their lineup. So we'll see how it plays out. For now, we're going to see Ysera, like I said, pick up the Ember on the mid, Sox's run on the Slark safe lane, and I believe that means that Furion will just start on the off lane, rotate to jungle as necessary, leaving Dazzle and Visage to roam about from safe lane to mid. Still, as far as Newbee's lanes go, it's a little less cut and dry. Bloodseeker and Viper and Mirana all are core heroes, and they can all either tri-lane together or just solo lane. I mean, none of them have to have one or the other. We've seen Viper tri-lanes, we've seen Mirana tri-lanes, both great solos. Bloodseeker, I usually prefer to give him a 1v1 matchup just because his Bloodbath gives him so much sustain and control over the lane, but we'll see what they decide to do with him here. So, starting things off, thanks once again for tuning in to Game 1 of this Best of 2 series between Orange and Newbee. Starting things off, looking over at the Radiant, we're going to be seeing Orange Esports taking up the mantle once again. It is Winter on the offlane Prophet, going boots first, trying to survive for as long as he can, get the most golden experience he can out of that lane. And, of course, like I said, he'll rotate when he feels it's necessary. Meantime, Sox is going to be farming up on the safe lane with his Stout Shield and a lot of tangos. He is ready to just kind of dig his feet in and rush for that level 6. We do see it's going to be Ysera, starting off with Searing Chains, looking for an early bottle, but not too early, with a couple of good intermittent items picked up for himself. He's running on the Ember Spirit, Ysera. In City C is going to be playing the Visage. A very good hero with Micro. We saw some of his skills with the Enchantress. Didn't work out for them long term, but he did make some great plays with those Centaurs. So we'll see if he can do the same with the Familiars, as well as just bring in some high-powered nuke potential. Looking over, it's going to be Sharky playing on the Dazzle. He's going to be bringing as much as he can as far as sustain to his teammates, and I think he's going to be the hero to watch. If Dazzle makes the right plays happen, then the fights are going to be completely different, because Bloodseeker won't start building up momentum with Bloodpath, where he just keeps on refreshing his health bar over and over again. Now we see some scouting coming out. Carefully placed Radiant Ward.
The battle begins.
Turtle Ward as well for the Dire. And although there was going to be some path crossing, it would seem that they're just going to be able to dissuade that and go their separate ways. I'm going to go for a brief introduction to the side of Newbee, just because we're going to get underway very shortly, but we do see it's going to be Zhao 8 on the Mirana, presumably in the farming role, but last time we saw this matchup, we saw Wraith King farming and Mirana supporting. This time around, though, you look at Wraith King's items, it's pretty clear that he's going to be the support. So we got Wraith King there. Banana is going to be playing on the Ancient Apparition. They're actually stalking prey. They're looking for an opportunity. Oh, Dazzle's one hit away. I think he was shooting a low ground to high ground. So a miss comes into play, and suddenly he misses the opportunity to bring this ward down. Sentry ward in place. They keep this ward alive. They waste 100 of Sharky's gold. Searing Chains will go down onto Moo. He's running on the Viper in the mid lane here, but looks like he didn't actually get caught by that and is not really under too much pressure in this scenario. Most of the action is going to be on bottom lane, while Winter gets a nice little 1v1 matchup against Bloodseeker, but Stout Shield should block most of the Treant damage, and he shouldn't have too hard of a time staying on the lane. So that means Nature's Prophet, he doesn't win his lane by killing Bloodseeker. He wins his lane by doing more work bottom than the Bloodseeker can when he rotates at 6. So we're going to look for 4 versus 3 action down on bottom when Winter hits level 2, but for now they're going to be a pounce away from a Wraithfire Blast, and just testing the waters here. at level 1. Now, I will say that Orange's lineup is so much stronger at level 2. Getting the combination of Grave Chill and Soul Assumption, getting potentially a Shallow Grave, as well as one of the other Dazzle spells. There's so much to be added to that. So I do think that they want to wait for that level 2. Winter now has his teleport, but we'll see if either team finds the opening. Meantime, back and forth, Moo going to bring some hits onto Ysera. That low armor means Nether Toxin is just going to chew through him. Only 1 point in it, but that 1-1-1 build is pretty effective at controlling the face. Now Sox, going to drop down very quickly. Dazzle nowhere nearby. With a quick arrow, the Chilling Touch guarantees the kill. Dazzle just maybe looking for some pull action. In the end, that's blocked off anyway, so that's not possible. And unfortunately, Sox just drops down quite readily. First blood is spilled. Going to see some good aggressive movement from the Wraith King. But they're going to be, from this point forward, hiding underneath the tower unless they find a major opening. And they're just going to play passive. Ysera going for the Bottle Crow. And once that gets upgraded to Flying Quarry anyways, for now it's meandering along at 245 MS. And in the meantime, like I said, Bloodseeker is going to be doing well in CS. 12 for 7 compared to... Oh, Winter's 3 for 0! I knew he was going to be doing poorly, but this is bleak. He went for boots first, has minimal right-click damage, 60 last hits, and even without a Quelling Blade, this Bloodseeker is like quadrupling his CS. That is absolutely absurd. Yeah, How doing some work, really living up to his reputation with this lane. So, did miss a kill here, unfortunately. I was distracted by something on the sidelines, and I do apologize for that, but it is going to be Moo taking down the Ember Spirit. He is still level 4, and this Flame Guard only helps so much against magic mitigation. Like, there's not going to be 200 damage flying out at you very abruptly, but there is a lot of physical damage, and Nether Toxin, it's an execute ability, so you keep him in range with the poison attack, keep those strikes coming through, and you will be able to bring him down. So, fail fish by me. The first kill missed of the day, but it does come through. Anyways, we are going to be seeing a level 2 Wraith King make his movements maybe to cover the bottom ruin spawn here, trying to make Viper has as much tempo in this mid lane as possible. As we see, Moo, he will have to retreat and heal up, but it's going to be the haste rune to be picked up by the Wraith King. So maybe if the TP is at the right time, they could go for a 2 versus 1 on the mid, but it's actually going to be a teleport down on bottom. Sox is under some pressure, Cold Feet procs, and he will fall, but they should get a return kill here on Banana. Moo TP is going to do some work, but first, the Ancient Apparition falls, and Sharky pops the Dollar Grave. Coming in with the haste, Wraith King goes for the stun on Winter. Not looking good for him. Sharky's going to fall with one more right click, one more dot tick, and here goes the death of Winter as well. Last hit goes through from the Mirana, and that is going to be a 5 for 1 for Newbee here. They already had the 2 kill advantage, so getting those extra 3 stacking up pretty hard. And that's unfortunate because that was Winter's first rotation. You'd hope for a lot from that as the Bloodseeker essentially gets the free farm, but no, they got the haste rune. The Viper is just a little bit too strong right now, and they were able to start off very well. Of course, it doesn't hurt that they started off by killing off the Slark without committing too many of their spells. So we're going to see a TP come in. Winter looking for the counter pressure onto How, but he's already got his phase boots, his 4-man shield. Heck, he might even go for like a rupture onto Winter and just force him back once again. He's got a TP scroll, so he shouldn't die to the rupture, but it might force him out of lane for like the 3rd time. Gonna see some movement onto the mid lane, smoked up Sharky and Insidious, but they're gonna need some big damage from the Soul Assumption to actually make anything happen. The Tearing Chains will go out on Moo. Viper Strike already expended. Ember Spirit will be shallow graved up, and Banana is locked in the Sprout. Soul Assumption to bring him down. One more right click will come in from Winter, and they do actually get their first positive exchange, but down on bottom, lives are low. Sox will pop off the salve, and he's only at level 3. Like, this seems to be like the theme of today for Sox, is that he gets in the safe lane in a position where he should be able to farm okay, and then the lane gets shut down. They lose lives left and right, and he's the one that suffers. He's the one who's set in a disadvantageous matchup. He's deprived of experience, and he just doesn't accomplish much until much later on into the game. So, stats build for the Wraith King. 2 and Wraithfire are gonna go out? No. City C in a bad spot, and he doesn't have any engraved Fuser's Cloak, so that would have been a sure kill. Wraith Fire Blast into Arrow, but the reflexes aren't quick enough, and there is, of course, the Smoke of Deceit. So now this allows Insidious C to drop down the Observer Ward and keep things under wraps. You see Ember Spirit taking some pressure here. He gets hit up by the Strike of Viper, but he's going to be able to TP home, and he's going to be fine. Sharky, however, not so much. One more right click. Okay, so he's going to pop the Shallow Grave, and actually Banana will be the return kill, but can they actually save Sharky? No, the last right click comes through. They're going to go for this second kill onto Wraith King. So getting essentially 2 for 1, but Ember Spirit dying, he jumped back to the lane with that Fire Remnant, and Viper punishes him for it. Moo had his Viper Strike cooling down. Didn't even need it, apparently, though, as he still has it available. Some misplay from Moo, and oh, it's going to be the Bloodseeker that really changes the pace there. Obviously coming in for the Rupture. Even a short duration silence is going to be enough for Poison attack to take its toll. So, good action there. Newbee striking Terror into orange, and they're going to keep being under pressure. This Bloodseeker knows no bounds. He's going to keep moving aggressively. Looks like he's building up into drums after his phase boots, and from there, he is going to be just taking kills left and right. Still kind of bound to his ulti CDs, fortunately pretty short. If you look at all the ultimate cooldowns of Newbee, with the exception of Mirana's Moonlight Shadow, they have some very short CDs. Viper Strike, 80 seconds level 1. The Rupture down to 70 as well. They can keep the momentum going, but now we see some pressure. Breaking through the trees is going to be the Fire Remnant, stunned under tower by the Wraith Fire Blast, and now Ember Spirit gets chopped down. Went way too aggressive. One simple TP response from a level 5 support. They're able to bring him down. Now Sock's in a bad spot. The arrow does a lot, but can they finish him? The last right click comes through. Or maybe the Starstorm tracked him down. In either case, he will be picked off despite that leap away. Pounce versus Leap.
Our thanks.
Gonna give the early Aquila momentum. No, oh, that would be bad if Insidious C got caught out once again, but even with the max movement speed, Wraith King knows he has no follow through and wants to conserve his mana pool since he doesn't have any restoratives.
Is under attack.
So they're gonna go for a lane shift. I kind of feel like this took a little time, a little long for them to actually follow through with, but they will bring Socks to the mid lane. So he'll be finding some farm. He'll try to get above the halfway point on the net worth chart. We'll see if he can accomplish that. In the meantime, Tier 1 falls to the split push of the Bloodseeker. Now Pounce onto Moo. Damage coming in, and he does have his ultimate available. He won't be able to regen off of it if he goes too low, though. Now, finally, taking some dot hits. It's going to be Wraith Fire Blast to come through, and nobody actually fall. So, good thing for Orange is that they have all 5 here. If there is any pressure coming in, then they can respond to it and make sure they don't lose any lives. The unfortunate thing is that means they're not defending the bottom lane, so they don't even bother with the fortification. Tier 1 drops for the second time, and they've gotten really nothing to show for it. Some damage on the Tier 1 mid, as well no, actually the other lanes are completely up to snuff. So we see the flank to gank, Bloodseeker, Rupture available, looking for his opening. Ancient Apparition going to get picked off by the Slark. It's a solo kill there for him, popping off his Shadow Dance, using the Pounce, and getting some work done.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So we're going to see the Bullet Chains come out for Wraith King, but he's got his Reincarnate. He really doesn't feel too threatened by this presence. They're going to focus down on this Tier 1 mid, and it should be easy pickings for them. TB comes through to the top lane. Could be bad for City C. He does have the Gravekeepers, but that dot, he's going to be dropped down very, very readily. Just incinerated. Now coming in, though, Ysera will try to turn things around. Viper gets blasted on the tower, but Wraith King will pop the Reincarnate. Now activating the Fire Remnant to get out of dodge is Sharky to take all the damage for him. He's going to Shallow Grave up, and he will survive, but TP, no, it's going to be canceled by the Wraith Fire. So double kill for Moo. He's looking pretty good for himself. Actually, the Ember Spirit, despite jumping away from the Fire Remnant, just dies to the damage over time. So a little bit too much for him to handle. Now Ice Blast down on bottom. Rupture comes out as well, but a simple TP speeds Slark away. Bad spot for Winter. Has to be very careful. Picked up the DD rune, though, and he will run in towards the mid. Opening on Moo. If they do get the lockdown on him, if they get the Sprout, this is going to be the easy kill. But Moo, he just goes for the TP, and they don't have a stun. He's gone. Absolutely absurd. The fact that they can't bring him down at this stage is very unfortunate, but he didn't, he has the mech. he didn't threaten his HP bar by even a small amount, and is because they don't have any hard lockdown until these familiars come through. Dazzle doesn't have a stun because Poison Touch was reworked. The Ember Spirit obviously has to use his Searing Chains to get into that kind of position, so really, when it comes down to it, unless they can burst hard enough, there are no guaranteed kills for Orange. So, topping out the net worth is going to be the Viper, move towards Aghanims after the mech. Then we do see, trailing behind him is going to be the Mirana. Farming up, maybe going for drums, but certainly going for some good, hard right-click items with some agility subsequently. Ysera getting some hits done to him, but Moo manning up hard. Pops off the dots, but he's just turning around damage like he's 1 versus 4, and he's still getting the kill because of dots. Fire Remnant just pulls him away from the Dazzle. Dazzle doesn't get a heal, doesn't get a grave, and that's all she wrote on that one. Now Xiao 8 jumping in. Should be able to get a stun here on his CDC. No, the fog is his friend. He will be able to TP safely. So, they get out, they cut their losses in a couple cases, but it's just death after death. That doesn't seem to need to be happening, but the Fire Remnant just pulls him away from the only people that can keep him up. It's very unfortunate. Now, pressure coming through the tier 2 mid, and Newbee should be taking the next tower. I mean, right now they have a 12 grand gold advantage. They're about to increase that another few. Oh, nice deny attempt from the Visage, but does not work out for them. Sox on the top lane, looking for just some drums. Give the guy some drums, but just looking, eyeing Xiao 8. Cool thing about Slark is that he can limit the pounce or the leap away, and he's going to try for that maybe on the top. No, he's just going to try to cut past the creep wave and burn through them at his convenience. But Winter farming up, might go for a recovery Midas here. I don't really see any other way that he's going to make an impact on this game if he doesn't go for one. But for now, lurking in the trees, farming what he can. But look at these wards! The Dire Observer vision from Newbee is impeccable. Able to see at all the major junctures where they're going to be farming, when they're going to be farming, and to put pressure on them is just going to completely limit Orange's potential to come back. They've already got huge momentum with heroes like Viper and Bloodseeker. Being as farmed as they are, now they can Moonlight Shadow in, and as long as they're not at a rune when it happens, where the wards are currently placed, they're going to be in a great position to kill. Now an arrow will come out on Sox that will also Moonlight Shadow up, so Sox will be on the run, but it looks like he might survive. It depends if this Viper Shark gets in range. He'll pop off his ultimate. He is just barely getting healed by it, and he will make it out perfectly fine, but the pressure that he's putting out isn't going to really be of much consequence, as Xiao 8 is still near topping the charts in his net worth. Looking at items as a whole, we do see Medallion up for Wraith King, implying they want to go for Roche pretty soon. And they certainly have the team to do it. No points in Vampiric Aura, though. Still think it's in the cards for them. Yeah, and even going to throw out the arrow right now. A little early, since they're not getting any DPS time right now, but with the DD rune, there's nothing to stop them from taking this thing within, I don't know, 30 seconds time. Roche is down to 0 armor, no physical mitigation. It's going to be easy for them to take and almost impossible for Orange to respond. They can split push, but they can't fight. And that's just because of how underleveled they are. You look at the levels, level 9 for the top 2, but after that it trails.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Finally, we do see Insidious C picking up familiars. Going to do a little bit of action with them, but not enough to change their fate. Newbee taking the free Roshan, taking the Aegis, taking the golden experience that comes with it. And making it so that Hao has absolutely no fear of even death at this stage.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And only 1,200 gold off of the Aghanim Scepter for the Viper. A great way to control a hero like Slark. In Winter, Midasing for gold instead of experience means that he isn't going to be finding that level 11 as quickly as he would prefer, and that level 16 even slower. Arrow, though, looking to hit. That Dire Observer ward almost giving them enough vision, even going in for the Rupture here, but it looks like they will come up empty-handed. This is looking bleak for them. Level 5 Dazzle, for crying out loud. He almost has level 6, but even then, at this stage, Weave is not that great. Like, he's going to pick it up anyways, and it might help, but the fights just don't seem to last long enough. Ice Blast hits, a Rupture hits, and that's a kill already. You follow through with a Viper Strike, a stun, and that's a second one. They can't keep people up long enough for that skill to matter in almost any capacity. Still, they'll do what they can. They're turtling up. They're just trying to avoid feeding right now, and I guess they'll accomplish that when they stay pretty much AFK in their base. But in the meantime, farm is coming out. The ears of Newbee. I mean, picking up a 16-minute phase drum BKB on How on the Bloodseeker. Quite incredible. And on top of that, the Aghanim Scepter, like I said, is only 600 Gs off.
Radiant's bottom tower is
Sox
under
in
attack.
aggressive position here. Move. Gonna try to punish him for his hubris. Not gonna be able to finish the job though, so he'll once again just TP away. So Ember Spirit in an aggressive position, but really doesn't have many tools himself. He's level 8. He's got not even 100 right-click damage, and he's just gonna see his target and walk away anyways. Down bottom, tier 3, getting pressured. Desolator right-click's gonna bring it down quite rapidly. You do see the Fortify. Sox also zoning it out, but can he do anything to Banana here? He used the Dark Pack too early. He gets stunned up ×2. Won't even get his ulti off, and that is a huge loss to Orange. 40 seconds without their only hero with real farm. That is quite bleak indeed. Now, Furion will still be able to take out that top tower. Winter utilizing the space that was created, but even still, putting a tier 1 for a tier 2 and a Slark. Not good by any stretch of the imagination. That Dark Pack just came too early. That just sucks to see. Now we're going to see the pressure on the tier 3. Not much to stop them. They really have to draw the line here, though. There's no way you come back from 18-minute racks. NCDC going to take some damage. Oh, the big arrow, too. It should be an easy kill. Skylegrave, of course, will keep him up for a moment. Just one more poison attack, and he's already dead. I think the Viper Strike might have been unnecessary, to be honest. But anyways, we're going to be seeing a buyback from the Vistas. They're going to try for something here. But Sox, look at how fast he drops. He shatters once again. Now the Soul Assumption on his Jowei, but throws out another arrow right into Winter's face, and that's another easy pick. Stun under NCDC, they can fountain dive at this point. This is just pub Dota as you can see, and GG will come out at only 18 minutes into the game. A very quick GG from Orange, and they couldn't get their feet underneath them. The goal graph obviously showing you that 17,000 advantage for Newbee. They took early kills, they took early fights, early towers, and of course the early Roche. And there really wasn't any rubber band tactic for them. I'm really surprised at how little CS Furion was able to farm. Winter only had 88 by the end of it. I know the Bloodseeker's a tough opponent, especially with a Quelling Blade, but he didn't go for the Quelling Blade, and you'd figure he'd get something out of it. But How just too strong on that top lane, and the rotations didn't seem to make enough of an impact. So in the end, they do lose out on Game 1. Let's see if they can rebound for Game 2. They've had a rough night so far, 3 consecutive losses, but each game is a brand new one. Let's see what they bring to the table in the next against Newbee. That'll be coming up in just a few minutes. Thanks for tuning in and joining me on the summit for this WPC Ace series. I myself am Blaze. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the commentary. If you have, please feel free to follow me at twitter.com/blazecasting. Otherwise, throw some criticism at me. Constructive, hell, even some flames, I'll take it. Just let me know what you'd like to see me improve on so that I can bring you guys the best commentary I can in the near future. And again, that is twitter.com/blazecasting. Tweet at me anytime, and I'll try to work on it the best I can. Anyways, that's going to be it for Game 1. Let's go into Game 2 between Orange and Newbee here in the WPC Ace. Once again, shout out to Beyond the Summit for allowing me to cast this for them, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.